Jill here with Sirius Dallas Moon. It is Sol Hour Venus Day. Mars in the 6th house. Ingress into the 6th degree. Moon in the 7th house applying to square Pluto. Venus 2020 in Taurus. And Jupiter in the 9th house. Well, the Moon in Taurus is in sign of exaltation applying to square Pluto. And so what I'm getting with the energy is that certain things, particularly with this Mars approaching Saturn, the many type of actions that were done, first of all, a lot of them are being seen, and even if people might not know exactly what the identity, but they see what was in the background, and people take action. Meaning, people take action that aligns with their I am. And like I said, if there was rape, even in the astral, then of course it has implications. Because rape is done for acquiring real estate illegally, then the recovery from rape is the recovery of the energy, of one's own authentic energy. Those that build on people, let's say, not recovering from rape, or then they have set themselves up in a way that, how should I say that? And I was even receiving that there was some energy that was pondering and realizing that something will, if they would harm, if they would rape someone, then something will haunt them and their family for generations. And I understand that it already is, but what I am saying, don't be afraid when I say hunt for generations. Is only so if the generations rape. We have good potential, particularly with Saturn in Aries, that the teeth of the children will no longer rot because of the parents eating unripe fruit. Now, when the parents stop eating unripe fruit, when the parents stop raping, when the parents stop trafficking, when the parents stop building their estates on rape of people, wow, then they will see improvement. They will see improvement in the lineage. I was seeing babies, infants, that their identity was mixed with the father, and the father was feeling like not knowing how to release from some sort of crazy making, because he tried to do a crazy making ritual on someone to target them. Again, this is all metaphorical. Also, I was seeing that for many cases there was, um, even for the point of euthanasia, there was calling for euthanasia. And it was not that people didn't want to live, but it's because of those rituals and because of those acquiring real estate by rape type of lineages. And that also exposed why euthanasia was inaccessible, because the cases would expose basically the practice. There was something that was trying to prevent sleep from people by beginning to rape them when they try to sleep. And all of the techniques of trying to blame the person for the rituals that are done to the person are all coming about that it haunts the families that do those rituals. Now, interestingly enough, it's actually a time of um, ceasefire, um, very tense ceasefire. And some people even see that they lost millions because they did such rituals, and of course, such rituals backfire. Um, Somebody was even trying to link, let's say, the things or the things that one possesses to their speech, and it created something that tied them to the Epstein ring somehow. I don't even know why. No, really, because they were trying to link the speech, what somebody says, to what somebody owns, and it put their name in with the Epstein list. It was originally there. It's not like it is a lie or something. I think because of semiotics, if I would translate semiotics to astrology, then the marker and the marked um, basically are associated with an action, and this action is a Martian action. It's kind of like a Mercury Mars. And this is because what they didn't take into account was that behind speech there has to be zero rape, zero slavery for the energy of speech to actually Um, Again, the people were trying to create not on the basis of love, then you see, let me, for example, if there is, let's say, a toenail fungi, what do? I basically take this thing that um, rejuvenates the cell, and I basically, um, yes, use this to take off all the fungi together with the residues of the nail that are affected. And then, of course, I begin to nourish more healthy and more healthy, both from within, from the food, and then I will run into the things that cause this dissolving. For example, the question of having a present loving father in my life, and health, because father is soul and health is also soul. And it's not about blame or yes, no, but there are many situations where it's not the fault of anybody in particular. And then it would cause, whether it's to purge or to address wounds that are so long. And just think about, my parents divorced when I was 2 years old. So let's say since age 2, something growing abnormal in the cells, and it manifested itself not as cancer, fortunately, but as something that at first they thought was, let's say, aesthetic. And because I was doing fitness, I was pride in myself, because athlete foot, it means that I work out. And so there was tremendous dissociation, but also there were things that happening to that infant that did not have a name. And it were not happening in any physical realm. And they exposed things that are to do with occult, that are so remote that I don't even know what these things are. Um, Now it begins to make sense why only when Uranus is going to go over my Chiron in the fourth house, or Chiron going over the ruler of my fourth house, I'm beginning to become more aware of these things that could not be even tended to, that expressed itself physically as misaligned bone structure, that affected the blood flow, and of course created stagnation, that created um, fungi, for example. Now, why am I saying this? Because um, as many people come to address issues whether around housing, upbringing, with this new moon in Aries. It's a new moon in the sign of housing, father, mother, real estate, identity, um, being marginalized, and war. Um, it also pertains to the ability to have families that necessitates also in the ethereal. It makes what was hidden practice something that is no longer hidden, that the effects are no longer hidden.